So let's see this article here. I saw this earlier today. Russian media on Friday claimed that an alleged leaked audio file contains a recording of German generals discussing the possibility of a strike on the Crimean Bridge. If this is true, then this is really a presaging sign of a war between Russia and Germany. That's what I believe. Margarita Simonian, editor-in-chief of Kremlin-operated news outlet RT, and just because it's RT doesn't mean it's false, by the way, said she had obtained the file from Russian security officials. A transcript of the alleged audio was later published on RT. Newsweek could not verify the authenticity of the audio or the transcript, and the Germany Ministry of Defense was contacted via email on Friday night for comment. According to RT, the recording lasts for 40 minutes and features a conversation between four high-ranking German officials within the Bundeswehr, Germany's armed forces. At least two of the individuals were generals, RT alleged. The discussion reportedly included talk about the possibility of bombing the Crimean Bridge, also called Kerch Strait Bridge or Kerch Bridge. The structure connects Russia's Krasnodar region with Crimea, a peninsula that Russia annexed from Ukraine in 2014. A man identified by RT as a German Air Force commander allegedly spoke about how Ukraine's armed forces want to destroy the bridge because it is not only military strategic importance but also political significance. The men allegedly debated whether Germany's long-range Taurus missiles would be powerful enough to successfully take out the bridge. Could you imagine Germany bombing the Crimean Bridge, which is really a part of Russia? That would be absolutely insane, guys. That's an act of war. 100% that would be an act of war. That would be an act of war. And I think that this is a sign of... a war between Germany and Russia for the future. That's what I believe. That's what I truly believe, guys. And then I saw this other article today. This is pretty crazy. Let me show it to you guys here. Von der Leyen, the president of the European Union right now. Look what she said. More military might, less climate talk. Behold, Ursula von der Leyen's transformation from green dove to military hawk. As the European Commission president announced her bid for another term on Monday, von der Leyen was unequivocal. Her ambition is now to make Europe more competitive, a catch-all word that in 2024 means more military might, everybody. More Europe first. Europe first. So Trump came up with America. Well, he didn't come up with it, but Trump pushed the slogan of America first. So now the Europeans are saying, what about Europe first? Oh, so if you want to do America first, we're now going to do Europe first. This way of thinking is metastasizing into European, pro-European or pan-Europeanist ideology. So it says here, Europe first purchases and more industry-friendly climate rules. For the former German defense minister, the message reflects the current geopolitical climate. Europe is struggling with Russia's warmongering, which is entering a third year just as U.S. support for Ukraine stalls and Donald Trump stampedes towards another potential White House term, threatening to abandon NATO allies along the way. Oh, that's another thing that makes this whole thing very interesting is Donald Trump coming along and saying, well, basically, if I become president, I'm going to tell all these European countries to F off, don't really care. And if Russia invades you, he said that Russia should invade you because you're not paying your fair share into NATO's collective defense. That type of rhetoric, let's say that it's all just rhetoric, it's all nonsense, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That rhetoric gives the Europeans the opportunity to then say, we can't trust the Americans. We have to get our nation to become powerful again. The Germans have been wanting to do this for decades. You can go all the way back to the Balkan War, wherein the Germans were the ones pushing for the bombing of Serbia. Why did the Germans want to bomb Serbia? It's because they wanted to show that they still got it. That's it. That was it. So the Germans have been wanting to really push their image as a powerful country for a long time. Now they have their opportunity with Russia invading Ukraine, Russian forces fighting in Ukraine, taking chunks of eastern Ukraine. And then on top of that, you got Donald Trump saying, if I become president of America, America don't give a damn about you Europeans. So that gives the Germans the perfect argument to say, Europe first. The continent is also awash with anger over its climate policies, with convoys of tractors clogging capitals in protest of looming rules meant to get the EU to climate neutrality by 2050. Oh, that's another thing. You have these farmers in France and Germany who have been doing these massive protests. And yes, this is already, as you can see, pushing people in government to say, okay, well, let's stop this climate stuff. Let's put the brakes on this climate thing. One thing that I would stress on is that if you look at the farmers in Germany who have been protesting, while I'm not saying that they're wrong in their arguments about diesel prices, but what I would point out is that these farmers are AfD fans. Are there exceptions? Probably. But these farmers, generally speaking, are AfD. These are German nationalists. So they want to see nationalism. That's what this is. And believe me, this farmers protest thing in Germany, this farmers movement in Germany, if you let it continue to metastasize and to grow, it will eventually become nothing about diesel, or it would focus on other things besides diesel. It wouldn't even be focused on the very thing that it was focused on in its inception. It'll be focused on different things. From diesel prices, it'll escalate into immigration, it'll escalate into demographics, it'll escalate into German identitarianism, etc., etc. And that's what this is. That's what this would lead to if you let it. That's what this will lead to if you let it just continue on. And a similar thing, and I did a video about this weeks ago, a similar thing happened before the Nazis took power. You had farmers who were doing massive protests in Weimar, Germany in the 1920s, and they were mad about government subsidies. They wanted government subsidies for their farms, just like these farmers want government subsidies. And those farmers in the 1920s were some of the biggest supporters for the Nazis. In fact, out of all of the different labor sectors in Germany, the farmers were the biggest supporters of Hitler. So there's that. That's one thing that you have to worry about when you look at history and you see the present in light of the past. That's one thing that you should keep in mind. Okay, don't just sit there and say, "Oh, these farmers are amazing. This is great." No. The world is not heading towards great. The world is heading towards something destructive. Okay, this idea that we're heading towards something great, I think, is just naive. Consider the fact that we are living in a post-Christian society, a post-Christian era of history. We're living in an era where people don't care so much about Christianity anymore. They care more about nationalism or things like socialism as far as ideologies go. So that fact alone should tell us that we're not really heading towards anything good. If you look at the Middle East, you look at Europe, you look at North America, you look at South America, we are heading towards protectionism, isolationism, nationalism, which all spells war. When you see people talking about isolationism, you think, well, that's to prevent war. No, that's a sign of war. Because when countries isolate, what happens is that the biggest power also isolates itself. And when the biggest power isolates itself, that gives the opportunity for other countries to then try to rise to power. And then you have war. That's one thing you have to keep in mind. This whole idea of, well, isolationism means no war. It's a sign that war is to come. So when you see Tucker Carlson coming out and he's saying, we're staring at this article here. When you see Tucker Carlson come out and he's saying, oh, I don't want to go fight for Israel. Well, he's not wrong. I'm not condemning him for that. But his mentality, Tucker Carlson saying that, is a reflection of a trend that is growing in the current zeitgeist. That's what's happening. The trend is isolationism. So when I see Candace Owens talking about how the Nazis were actually the good guys when they were burning books, and people are defending her, and Candace Owens is still very popular, I mean, it's a sign. And we're going to see more of this stuff. It's growing. Don't tell me that I didn't warn you guys. It's growing, everybody.